Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever paused for a moment and asked yourself, what am I really here for? What is my purpose? Each of us is born with unique dreams, visions of who we can become and what we can achieve. But somewhere along the way, many people stop dreaming and start surviving. Today, I want to remind you of one powerful truth. Your dreams are not random. They are the blueprint of your destiny. Let's explore how we can awaken those dreams and live a life of meaning, joy, and impact through 4 powerful ideas. Your destiny begins with a decision to dream big. At first glance, that may sound like a motivational phrase you might find on a poster, but beneath the surface lies a powerful and universal truth. Every person alive has a destiny, not a predetermined fate written in stone, but a unique path shaped by vision, choices, and action. The very first spark that lights the way is the dream. A big dream, one that inspires, excites, and even scares you a little, is the foundation of a life lived with purpose. Without dreams, we drift. But with dreams, we design. When you dare to dream big, you begin to define your direction. You begin to command your life rather than simply react to it. And that dream becomes the fuel that powers your journey toward your highest potential. Many people grow up being told to be realistic, to stay practical, to avoid risk. Society often teaches us to shrink our vision so we can fit in, stay safe, and avoid disappointment. But dreaming big is not about being reckless or delusional. It's about reconnecting with the bold imagination we were born with. Children dream without limits. They believe they can be astronauts, superheroes, artists, or inventors. But as we grow, layers of fear, failure, and judgment begin to dim that fire. Somewhere along the line, dreaming big starts to feel like a luxury instead of a necessity. But in truth, big dreams are essential. They are not just lofty ideas, they are guiding stars. They pull us toward growth. They stretch our courage. They ignite our spirit. Deciding to dream big is an act of rebellion against mediocrity. It's a choice to break away from settling for what is and instead reaching for what could be. That decision alone separates those who live with passion from those who merely exist. When you make that decision, you reclaim control over your life. You stop living by default and start living by design. Tony Robbins often says that it's in our moments of decision that our destiny is shaped. And deciding to dream big is one of the most defining decisions you can ever make. It says to the world, and more importantly to yourself, that you believe in possibility. You believe in your potential. You believe that your life can mean more, feel more, and give more. Dreaming big doesn't mean you need to have every step figured out. It simply means you're willing to open your heart and mind to a vision that challenges and inspires you. It might be starting your own business, becoming a world-class artist, writing a book, changing careers, or creating something that outlives you. Whatever it is, the dream is yours to define, and no one else has the right to set its boundaries. The size of your dream is not determined by what others think is possible. It's shaped by what you are willing to believe is possible for yourself. Big dreams ask you to believe in things you can't yet see. They require you to walk by faith, to trust your instincts, and to hold on through uncertainty. But that's what makes them transformative. It's the pursuit that shapes you. You grow into your dream. The power of a big dream is that it gives you a compelling reason to rise each day. It gives you a reason to push through challenges, to take risks, to endure setbacks, and to keep going even when results are slow. Without a dream, struggle feels like suffering. But with a dream, struggle feels like purpose. You begin to see obstacles not as stop signs, but as stepping stones. Each challenge becomes part of the process that strengthens you for the journey ahead. Dreaming big makes your problems meaningful because they are no longer random. They are part of your growth toward a greater vision. Another key truth is that dreaming big forces you to level up. It demands more of you, not in the sense of pressure, but in the sense of potential. A small dream can be achieved with your current skills, mindset, and habits, but a big dream requires you to evolve. It challenges your limits, expands your thinking, and calls forth qualities within you that you may not even know you possess. When you pursue a dream that's bigger than your comfort zone, you're forced to become the person capable of achieving it. That journey of transformation is as important as the dream itself. Some may wonder, what if I dream big and fail? But the better question is, what if you never try? The real failure is not falling short, it's never starting. When you dream big, you win either way. You either achieve your vision or you become a greater version of yourself through the pursuit of it. Every step you take toward your dream teaches you something, shapes your character, and opens new doors you never would have discovered had you stayed still. The pursuit of a big dream adds richness, depth, and adventure to your life. It fills your days with meaning and your heart with fire. There's also something contagious about a big dream. When you have the courage to go after something extraordinary, you inspire others to do the same. Your belief becomes a beacon. Your story becomes a source of strength for someone else who's trying to find their way. People are not moved by perfection, they're moved by passion. When you live out your big dream with all its ups and downs, you become a living example that it's possible, and that ripple effect can shape lives far beyond your own. Your dream, when pursued boldly, can become part of your legacy. Choosing to dream big does not require ideal circumstances. It does not require permission. It only requires a decision. A moment when you say, I want more, I will aim higher, I refuse to settle. That decision marks the beginning of destiny. It marks the start of a life that is not just survived, but lived with intention, with power, and with heart. You may not know how everything will unfold. You may not have all the resources or answers. But if you have the dream and the courage to pursue it, you already have everything you need to begin. So dream boldly, dream wildly, dream unapologetically. Your destiny begins the moment you make that decision. And once you do, the world begins to shift. Doors start to open. Strength begins to build. And step by step, that dream begins to take form, not because you waited for the perfect moment, but because you chose to believe, you chose to act, you chose to dream big. Every great achievement begins as a dream. We all carry within us some image of the life we want to live, the person we want to become, or the impact we hope to make in the world, but dreams on their own are not enough. They can remain distant and abstract unless anchored by clarity. The difference between a dreamer and a doer is not just action, it is clarity of purpose. Clarity of purpose is what transforms a beautiful idea into a tangible direction. It is the inner compass that turns vague desire into focused determination. Without it, we drift. With it, we drive. When someone knows what they want with precision, their energy becomes aligned, their decisions become intentional, their time, thoughts, and resources begin to serve a specific aim. That's the power of clarity. It turns possibility into probability. A person may have a vision of becoming successful, fulfilled, or impactful, but unless they can clearly define what that means, they will struggle to make progress. Purpose gives shape to the dream. It acts as the bridge between where we are and where we want to go. Clarity does not just emerge by chance. It comes from reflection, questioning, and sometimes painful honesty. It requires us to look within and ask, what truly matters to me? Not what looks good on paper, not what others expect, but what deeply resonates with who we are. That clarity is the soil from which passion and persistence grow. When we understand our purpose, we are no longer swayed by distractions or temporary pleasures. We have something greater guiding us. Clarity makes it easier to say no to what doesn't align and yes to what does, even when it's hard. There's a distinct energy in people who are clear on their purpose. You can feel it in the way they speak, move, and show up. They don't just go through the motions, they act with intent. They don't waste time comparing themselves to others because they are too focused on their own lane. That's what clarity does. It simplifies life. It filters the noise. It eliminates confusion. It takes the vast open space of possibility and carves out a path. Not always a straight or perfect one, but a path with a direction, a pace, and a pulse. A person without purpose may feel motivated one day and lost the next. Their actions lack cohesion. They may start many things but finish few. On the other hand, someone with clarity may not always feel motivated, but they remain consistent. Why? Because they have something bigger than emotion guiding them. Purpose doesn't rely on how you feel. It grounds you when your feelings waver. That's what makes it powerful. When you're clear on why you're doing something, you're more likely to follow through. You don't quit just because it's uncomfortable. You stay because it's meaningful. One of the most beautiful things about clarity of purpose is that it brings fulfillment in the process, not just the outcome. When you know why you're doing something, even the hard parts begin to make sense. The setbacks, the delays, the struggles, they're no longer meaningless frustrations. They're stepping stones. They're part of the journey. You can endure more when you believe it's worth it. And you believe it's worth it when you know what you're working toward. Often, people assume that they need to have every step planned out before they begin. But clarity of purpose is not about having a rigid blueprint. It's about having a strong foundation. You may not know exactly how things will unfold, but you know why you're doing it. That purpose will guide your steps, even if the road is uncertain. Life rarely offers perfect certainty, but it rewards those who move with conviction. And conviction comes from clarity. Purpose also brings power to our daily decisions. Every choice we make, no matter how small, either takes us closer to our purpose or pulls us away from it. When you're clear on your purpose, you make better choices, not just bigger ones, but everyday ones. How you spend your morning, who you surround yourself with, what you say yes or no to, all of it begins to align with the life you want to create. The big shifts often come from a series of small, intentional actions fueled by clarity. It's also important to understand that purpose is not found, it is chosen. Many people wait for some grand revelation or moment of destiny to show them the way, but purpose is something we uncover through living, exploring, and committing. It's not a one-time discovery, it evolves with us. Sometimes we outgrow old dreams or redefine what matters. That's okay. What matters is that we stay connected to what feels true now. Clarity of purpose is not about having all the answers forever. It's about knowing what matters most right now and being willing to act on it. In a world filled with distractions, temptations, and endless options, clarity is more valuable than ever. We are constantly bombarded with images of what success should look like, but clarity protects us from chasing someone else's dream. It reminds us to live our truth, not someone else's version of it. That's why people who seem to have less sometimes feel more fulfilled, because they're living in alignment. They know what they're here for. They're not lost in comparison or competition. They're walking their path. We must also remember that clarity brings confidence. When you're clear about your purpose, you stop asking for constant validation. You no longer need others to approve your journey. You move from needing permission to giving yourself permission. That shift is where true freedom lives. You begin to trust yourself more deeply. You become your own source of guidance. And in that space, creativity, courage, and leadership begin to flourish. Clarity of purpose doesn't eliminate fear. It simply makes the fear worth facing. When you have something worth fighting for, worth striving for, worth sacrificing for, fear loses its grip. It becomes a companion on the journey rather than a roadblock. That's when real progress begins. That's when dreams stop being abstract ideas and start becoming grounded goals. So if you have a dream, something big, beautiful, or even slightly terrifying, don't just admire it from a distance. Ask yourself, why do I want this? What would it mean to me and those around me? Find your why, refine it, speak it, write it. Let it guide your steps. Let it breathe direction into your dream. Because when purpose becomes clear, action becomes powerful. And when you walk with purpose, your life begins to take on a rhythm, a flow, and a force that feels unstoppable. Clarity of purpose is not just about achieving more, it's about becoming more. More focused, more fulfilled, more aligned. And as you continue to define and refine your purpose, your path will become clearer, your progress more meaningful, and your journey far more rewarding. In the end, it's not just the dream that shapes your life, it's the direction you give it. And that direction comes from the quiet, powerful decision to live with clarity and intention. That's when your life begins to change. Every great achievement begins as a vision, an idea in the mind, a spark in the heart, a dream of something more. But vision alone is not enough. It's a starting point, a necessary seed of all transformation, but without action, it remains a fantasy. What separates dreamers from doers, wishful thinkers from change makers, is the decision to act. And not just once, not just occasionally, but massively and consistently. Massive action is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's the force that turns a vivid vision into a living, breathing reality. To turn a vision into something tangible, you must first realize that intention without action is just hope. There's nothing wrong with hope. It's a beautiful place to begin. But to create results, you must engage in action. And not just any action. You must take deliberate, persistent, and focused steps that move you closer to your goal. Again and again until the result begins to take form. That is massive action. It's not about being busy for the sake of being busy. It's about being relentless in the direction of your vision. Massive action requires a certain mindset. It's the mindset that says, I will do whatever it takes. I will keep moving forward, even when it's hard, even when it's uncertain, even when I fail. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. Most people fail not because they lack talent, intelligence, or even opportunity. They fail because they stop too soon. They take one step, maybe two, and when the outcome isn't instant, they retreat. But those who take massive action know that progress often happens in silence, in the trenches, in the days when no one is clapping. They understand that success is not one giant leap, it's thousands of small steps, taken with commitment and courage. When you take massive action, you send a message to yourself and to the world that you are serious, that your vision matters, that you are not just interested, you are invested. This internal shift creates momentum, and momentum is everything. The more you act, the more feedback you get, the more you learn, the better your actions become. This cycle of action, feedback, and refinement accelerates progress. What once seemed impossible begins to feel inevitable. Massive action also builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come from waiting to feel ready. It comes from doing. When you act boldly, even when you're scared, you prove to yourself that fear doesn't own you. Each time you step forward, even imperfectly, you build inner strength, you begin to trust yourself more, you begin to develop a reputation, not just with others, but with yourself as someone who follows through. That kind of trust is priceless. It's the foundation of self-belief, and it's earned through action. There's a myth that says you have to have it all figured out before you begin. But those who take massive action know that clarity comes from engagement, not contemplation. You don't need the whole staircase. You just need the first step. Action creates clarity. As you move, the path reveals itself. Too many people get stuck in their heads, analyzing, planning, waiting for the perfect time, but the perfect time is rarely a date on the calendar. The perfect time is the moment you decide to begin. Even if it's messy, especially if it's messy. Massive action also has a way of breaking down fear. Fear thrives in stillness, in overthinking, in procrastination. But when you move, when you act, when you get into motion, fear loses its grip. It doesn't disappear entirely, but it becomes smaller compared to your momentum. You don't overcome fear by sitting with it, you overcome it by walking through it. Taking action, especially when you're afraid, rewires your brain. It teaches you that fear is not a stop sign, it's just a signal, and you can move anyway. Vision gives you the destination, but action gives you the vehicle. The more massive your action, the faster you close the gap. Some people take small tentative steps, and that's okay to start. But if you want extraordinary results, you have to move beyond the ordinary pace. You have to do more than what's comfortable. That's where growth happens. Massive action pushes you past your limits. It stretches your capacity. It introduces you to a version of yourself you haven't met yet. The one who doesn't just dream, but delivers. There will be setbacks. That's inevitable. Action doesn't guarantee immediate success, but it guarantees progress. And progress is what sustains motivation. When you take action and see even a flicker of movement, your brain registers, this is working. That small win becomes the fuel for the next action and the next. It becomes a self-reinforcing loop. The key is to stay in motion, even when it's hard, even when it's slow, even when no one sees. Massive action doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it looks like late nights, early mornings, messy drafts, failed experiments. But all of it matters. All of it builds the future you've imagined. It's also worth remembering that massive action doesn't always mean grand, dramatic gestures. Sometimes it's the consistency of showing up daily, making small decisions that compound over time. But the word massive in this context is not just about scale. It's about intensity and commitment. It's about taking action with intention and refusing to give up. It's about being all in, not halfway. It's about being willing to do what most won't so you can live a life that most don't. When you commit to massive action, you begin to influence your environment. You begin to attract opportunities, people, and resources that align with your energy. There's a magnetism in motion. The world responds differently to people who are moving with purpose. Doors open, conversations change, possibilities appear. It's not magic, it's cause and effect. The universe favors the bold, and boldness begins with action. At the heart of it all is choice. You can choose to keep waiting, hoping, and wishing, or you can choose to act. Your vision deserves more than just admiration. It deserves commitment. It deserves movement. It deserves your full effort. Because you weren't given a vision just to dream. It was given to you so you could bring it to life. And the way to do that is not through perfect planning, but through powerful doing. So if you have a vision, a dream, a goal that matters to you, don't wait another day. Don't wait for approval, for certainty, for the stars to align. Start now, start messy, start scared, just start. And then keep going, one action at a time, one step at a time, again and again, because the truth is simple and timeless. Massive action turns vision into reality. Every journey of personal growth eventually leads beyond the self. As we strive to discover our purpose, overcome our fears, and pursue our dreams, there comes a moment when we realize that true fulfillment doesn't come from success alone. It comes from significance. And significance is born through contribution. Contribution is the final step in the path toward fulfilling our destiny, because it is the moment where everything we've learned, gained, and become begins to serve something greater than just ourselves. It is the point where personal growth transforms into impact. Throughout life, we chase goals that make us feel accomplished: wealth, recognition, security, freedom. These are important and valid pursuits. They give us stability and confidence. But after reaching a certain level, many people find that something is still missing. There's an internal whisper asking, what now? Is this all there is? That question doesn't come from a place of lack. It comes from a place of readiness. It signals that the soul is searching for deeper meaning. And that meaning is found in contribution, in giving what we've built, who we've become, and what we know to others in a way that uplifts, empowers, or heals. Contribution doesn't require a stage, a large audience, or extraordinary resources. It starts with the decision to use your life in a way that leaves others better than you found them. It can be a word of encouragement, a shared skill, a quiet act of kindness, or a bold mission that affects thousands. The size is not what matters. The sincerity is. Contribution becomes the measure of a life well lived because it reflects the essence of who we are beyond what we do. It reveals our heart. When we contribute, we connect to others in a profound way. We move from isolation to belonging, from self-centeredness to service. We realize that we are part of something larger, that our lives can influence lives we've never even met. And in that realization, there is peace, there is power. Because giving is not about losing something, it's about expanding what we already are. Contribution multiplies our joy, deepens our relationships, and leaves a legacy that endures. Fulfilling destiny is not just about achieving what we desire. It is about becoming who we were meant to be. And who we are meant to be is someone who contributes, who takes the pain, the wisdom, the love, and the experiences of our life and offers them to others. Contribution transforms wounds into wisdom, success into service, and dreams into gifts. It is the highest use of our journey. There's a unique kind of joy that only contribution brings. It's the joy of knowing you've made a difference, no matter how small. The joy of knowing that someone breathed easier because you showed up. That joy doesn't fade like temporary pleasure. It stays with you. It grows. And it feeds your soul in a way nothing else can. When you contribute from the heart, your life begins to echo. Long after your words are forgotten, your impact remains. Some believe they must wait until they've made it to give back, but contribution is not something to postpone. It is something to live now. Even in your struggles, you can contribute. Sometimes your greatest impact will come from the parts of you that hurt the most. When you show others that healing is possible, that growth is real, that love endures, you're contributing. You're helping to light the path for someone else who's still in the dark. Contribution also fuels a deeper level of fulfillment because it aligns with our innate desire to matter. Humans are wired for connection and meaning. When we contribute, we validate that our lives count for something greater. We stop measuring our worth by what we have and start measuring it by what we give. This shift changes everything. It liberates us from the need for constant validation and redirects our energy toward purpose. And perhaps most importantly, contribution leaves a legacy. Long after we are gone, what we gave lives on in the people we touched, the lessons we shared, the kindness we offered, the love we spread. Our names may fade, but our contribution endures in the ripple effects it created. Every life we elevate through contribution becomes part of our legacy. That is how we live forever, not in years, but in impact. Fulfilling your destiny isn't just about reaching a goal, it's about becoming someone whose life reflects meaning. It's about using your talents, your voice, your story in a way that enriches others. Contribution is not about ego. It's about empathy. It's not about being the hero. It's about helping someone else rise. And in that, we find our highest joy. The moment we use our life to serve others is the moment we step into our destiny fully. There is a sacredness in giving. When you give from your experience, from your heart, from your presence, you elevate the world around you. You become a catalyst for growth, healing, and possibility. You become a mirror that reflects back to others what's possible for them. This is the power of contribution. It doesn't require perfection, only presence. It doesn't demand wealth, only willingness. And perhaps that is why contribution is the final step. It is the culmination of everything that came before. The lessons learned, the trials overcome, the values shaped, all of it was preparation for the moment you give from a deeper place. Destiny isn't just about what you accomplish. It's about what you awaken in others through the life you live. And nothing awakens others more than sincere, selfless contribution. When we contribute, we rise. Our energy shifts, our focus expands, our heart opens. Contribution frees us from the illusion that fulfillment comes from accumulation. Instead, we discover that real wealth comes from what we share. The more we give, the richer we become, rich in connection and meaning and spirit. It is through giving that we receive the deepest rewards. So if you ever wonder whether your life is on track, ask yourself, how am I contributing? Not because you have to, but because you get to. Because your life, your story, your heart, someone needs it. And in giving it, you step into your highest self. In giving it, you fulfill the deepest promise of your life. In giving it, you fulfill your destiny. So today, I challenge you, revisit the dream within you. Don't bury it under fear, doubt, or past failures. You were not born to live an average life. You were born to live a life of purpose. Dream boldly, act decisively, and give generously. Because in the end, your dreams are the seeds of your destiny, and you have the power to make them real. Thank you.